Eles estão curiosos por que vocês saíram de tão longe para visitar, né, Sobral, a nossa cidade, saber sobre a nossa educação.
I come from the other side of the world, from Philippines. Yeah, and I come to Sobral because I hear you have very good quality education and we want to learn from you.
And we work to try and improve, work with countries to improve their children's results. So we came to see what it is your teachers do, what is it you do, what is the head teachers do that make your results as good as they are.
As a first impression, I thought it was going to be too formal, but it's quite relaxed and it's really, the atmosphere is good for learning.
This chart is really fascinating. It shows how many of the teachers are actually present at work, and it's 100%.
Aqui na sala, trabalho sílaba, palavra, frase e produção textual. E 80% aumentou o desenvolvimento da leitura. E sempre a escola está aberta, né, para atender aos pais. E assim a gente vai se entendendo, família e escola.
What stood out to me was the school in the community, and that the school didn't operate in isolation from the general community, and that stood out for me in coming to this school.
Receber vocês na nossa escola e a gente abrir as portas para mostrar o nosso trabalho a vocês. Estamos aqui para acolher todos vocês.
A moça correu para atender o cliente.
Just done a classroom observation, and is obviously are very much trying to engage with kids around the classroom, making sure that everyone's included, checking their understanding with different kind of testing and assessment techniques in the classroom. Yeah, really amazing to see that, because I haven't seen that in most places.
Bom dia!
Bom dia!
Quem é que sabe ler aqui? Eita, todo mundo! Que coisa linda!
Tira, meu amor. Que animalzinho é esse? Zebra. Muito bem, escreva. Zebra. Zebra.
Students have just really seemed very confident and empowered and enabled.
Initially, she was reading the book, then they were all reading together, then they were working in their notebooks. So, it wasn't doing the same thing for the entirety of the time. So I think for young children in particular, it's good to have that, that variation. I think also calling some students one by one to come and pick a small toy from the box and to say what it is so that others could write it. That keeps them a bit on their toes, I think, and it's fun to go up and to be able to do that. So just a mix of different methods that I think was useful.
There were 2 aides sitting with children with disabilities, and that attention to those kids learning and that attention to their integration into the classroom, to me, was very important, because it sent a message about education being for everyone.
Surprised here to see that the driver for changing teaching is not structured materials. It seems to be a lot of training and a lot of, soft mindset change where you give teachers this sense of possibility that they can change things.
It seems that they really give space for teachers to plan, to organize, to reflect, to have training, so that they're also, they're the ones that are on the ground, right, actually making all of this a reality. So to have them on board and to engage them in that way and to give them the time and space, I think is really great. And it's maybe something that, isn't done everywhere, but that I think we can take away as a lesson here.
Uma coisa que eu acho muito legal aqui na escola e na toda a rede municipal de Sobral é o acolhimento. Eles procuram trazer a gente para um ambiente que todo mundo se sinta em casa, aprenda e se divirta ao mesmo tempo.
I was really inspired by how the teachers talk about those all things connecting, and there's not one or the other. She said we don't have a social and emotional class, we just have a class. And so how it's teachers' responsibility to cultivate the whole child, while at the same time having a focus on how do we make sure all our children are attaining the basic skills of literacy and numeracy that enables them to have much wider opportunities in life.
A gente focou em alfabetização. A gente sabia claramente que nós sozinhos não íamos resolver o problema. Que precisava de família, que precisava... Então fomos para a rádio, para as rádios da cidade, para os programas jornalísticos, dizer o que está acontecendo. Acabamos de receber o resultado do exame e o resultado está dizendo que a criançada e os adolescentes de Sobral estão na escola e não sabem ler nem escrever.
They took decisions based on evidence, and this is not normal in the world. Just shows a lot of responsibility and commitment on the political side. It's an example of how a mayor can lead all these processes. And that's what we need, more mayors like this.
The mayor could have been politically committed, but if he didn't get everybody else on board, the alignment, it would be on his own. So,
The case for the city of Sobral and how it was done is very similar to what we are going through, especially as a country that have very limited resources and not much that can be offered. Looking at how a lot was achieved with so little is actually what we should be looking at, is basically what we should be aspiring to make.
É possível, mesmo com esse recurso que deveria ser muito mais ampliado, fazer um trabalho que garanta e que dê o direito das crianças a aprender. Um bom planejamento, um foco em metas de aprendizagem, uma boa capacitação e orientação dos profissionais que lideram a escola, nesse caso, o diretor escolar.
What I am learning from Sobral, first of all, is the importance of school leadership and how school leadership ought to look like for it to be effective. That the school leader first teaches with love, is a colleague to the teachers and they are the same level, and motivates the teachers and demonstrates excellence.
Sometimes we don't focus enough on the teaching, improving the teaching quality. And what was observed by the senior political leaders is they had a really good sense of what should happen in the classroom and what good should look like.
The technology and the science underpinning the actual content of the work in schools here, it's based on how children actually learn to read, how they learn to move from letters to sounds to words to texts. And that is something that's been researched, has been established in a lot of other countries. And it's great to see it actually embedded in a real world system and working so effectively.
Estar aqui em Sobral, interagir com as pessoas ao vivo, ver as aulas acontecendo, observar o espaço da escola, interagir com as lideranças políticas, conhecer o contexto da cidade, dá um dado de realidade que eu acho que é o que a gente quer. Quando a gente fala de impacto na área social.
The value of an immersion experience like this is that there's no substitute for social interaction. It's looking somebody in the eye, understanding what they want to say in an unscripted way. They're reacting to things in real time. And I think particularly being here in Sobral was especially important because we're not doing it in an abstract thing. We're not talking in Brussels, we're not talking in London. We're talking in the context where people are actually achieving what we want to achieve on the ground.
Aqui não só as pessoas estão vendo uma realidade mais próxima, mas elas estão passando tempo juntos, estão refletindo juntos e estão construindo propostas juntos. E isso vai gerar os laços que são necessários para avançar nesse tipo de transformação.
Rather than funders each funder creating their own thing and framing it like a new thing they are creating, why don't we just work together to make this thing move?
In my somewhat limited experience, funder collaboratives create this experimental space where you can suspend the normal working rules because the lure of leverage is so great.
The role of the philanthropic leader is enabling, I would say, finding ways to enable local leaders, local actors at different levels to kind of come up with their own solutions and maybe, provide the right kind of incentive or frameworks around that to help them kind of find their own solutions, I think. I think that's part of it. but then also, there's evidence from around the world about what has worked elsewhere and how it's worked elsewhere. So also kind of providing or being able to share that kind of information where it's needed and where it can help on a local or a national journey.
I cannot leave Sobral without saying hope is like a road in the country. There was never a road, but when many people walk on it, the road comes to existence. Thank you, Sobral, for walking this road and showing us the way. We go back to the Philippines and journey on our own road, inspired to keep walking, to keep this road and make it come to existence.
I cannot leave Sobral without saying that one day I hope to hear all governments speak with the pride and ambition for their education systems that we have heard here today.
Levaremos para casa em nosso coração e mentes o que vivenciamos e o que foi alcançado aqui.
I can't leave Sobral without saying that it's no coincidence that this journey of education system transformation happened in the land of Paulo Freire, and that it's incumbent on all of us to work in partnership to continue this journey.